puzzle has an answer.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. My name is Protagonist. You can call me Protag, and we're back for another week. We're continuing the Wednesday streak so far, which is going pretty well, honestly. I think this is a comfortable setting, I guess, or like schedule for now. I definitely want to try and do more, but we'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, today is going to be a pretty talkative stream, I guess. I think a lot of it is going to be centered around the second half of the stream. Obviously, as always, we are going to spend the beginning just talking about what happened in the past week, from last Wednesday to this Wednesday, all the Rush Duel news that was released, everything that was, posted on their social medias. If we're lucky, we might get something later today. Who knows? But for now, that is the plan. We're going to go over what we have this week. It's about pretty standard, about 5 or 6 pages. And then after that, we'll be talking about, well, what the title is about. We'll discuss the potential for fusion decks. Now, why I'm saying this is because in the most recent set that just came out, the Advanced Pack Union Base, we were introduced to Instant Fusion, a very, popular, very infamous fusion card from the advanced format, now moved into Rush Duels. And we saw from what was a leak before, but now I believe officially announced by Konami, we are getting Super Poly in the future in whatever big anniversary or whatever big holiday pack they have planned. So these are very, very strong cards. Obviously, Instant Fusion was really popular, especially, during Tier Lament, when you could use that to make your Kit Colossus, and then, oops, all of a sudden, here's Tier Limit. And then Super Poly is just a really good, just disruption, hand trap, anything that you can use to help, break your opponent's board and stuff like that. Like, they're very strong cards. However, are they even that good in Rush Duel? We'll talk about it more later, but before we do any of that, let's just jump right in and go over the news. We have quite a bit to discuss, so without further ado, let's begin. Who's there? They're there. Soitsu and Doitsu. So, Soitsu and the Itsus, I guess, or, the 4-color bros, they were released in the advanced pack as well as, their usual Union monster and, like, effect monsters and stuff like that. But they're getting additional support in the form of a new Union Fusion monster, which is Soitsu and Doitsu. So, really, when you think about a Union Fusion, like, do you think they were going to combine the colors together? Or do you think they were really just going to, put them both on the plane and just kind of, put them together like that. Like this is basically, union fusing them together without doing any weird like body modification. So let's see what it does. Level 5 Wind Fairy Fusion Effect Monster, 2500 attack. Not bad. You can Union Fusion this card. Choose one card in your hand or on your field and send it to the graveyard. Then you can choose a total of 2 Aitsu, Koitsu, Soitsu, and or Doitsu in your grave and special summon them to your field face up. So you probably want to get whatever the correct pairings are, right? Because like one of them, let me actually just look it up. Because let's see, Koitsu, yeah, Koitsu you equip onto Aitsu, and then Doitsu you equip onto Soitsu. So you can do it that way, and it's interesting that they did it this way because you could have just made or had Doitsu equip onto Soitsu, but instead they're giving you an option to, give you another body on the field, right? Which I'm not against that, right? Especially because of the fact that you can then get you can get cards back in your grave. Because remember, when you Union Fuse, you are putting the cards back to the bottom of your deck, so you wouldn't be able to make, or if your opening hand just had, Soitsu and Doitsu, you put them on the field, then Union Fuse into Soitsu and Doitsu, then you wouldn't be able to activate the second effect to get something from the grave because you have nothing in your graveyard. So you do require, having the correct cards in your grave, which means, this isn't something that you would maybe want to do right away. You could just instead have Doitsu equip onto Soitsu and just have that on the field, just so that, in case it gets destroyed, then, you have something in the graveyard and then you can bring it back out later on in the future. So I think that's like the big thing here. But I'm assuming that we're also going to get the Aitsu and Koitsu Union Fusion monster in the future. I don't know if it's going to come in this set or if they're going to do kind of like what they were doing with the Spirit Charmers, where they release their familiar possessed fusions in like every set or every other set? Anyway, they don't release them all in the same set. Right now we only have Win and we have Aria, and then we're probably going to be getting the other ones later on as well. So they could be doing something similar with this, where they combine Soitsu and Doitsu for now. Then we might get Aitsu and Koitsu. Then we could get, Aitsu, Soitsu, and then Koitsu, Doitsu, which would also be really interesting, because then what in the world would those do, right? Like, what are we planning to do with all of these different Union fusions? But that's what we have in store. It's possible that we could get more. This could be the only thing that they make for it, and sure, why not? But it is cool that we are getting more Rush exclusive support for some of these classic archetypes, and they're not bad. They're not bad. This isn't bad. This is actually something that I can't believe I'm saying this. It could be good in advanced format if you're playing some like low power stuff, and for some reason you really like to play these cards. Like, this would be a good card to have. This isn't a terrible thing to put into the deck. It's an option. You can put this in your, like, you would be able to make this work. And it's rare for me to say that, because I usually hate when people are like, oh, this would be so good in the advanced format, and like, it's like, no, you would get stopped by every hand trap under the sun. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, moving on. Next up, okay, so this is not specifically Rush Duel news, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Org is making a simulator. They have decided to create a do they have a name for it? Yu-Gi Org? Nope, that's not it. Sim Org, that's what it's called. Okay, Sim Org is a manual simulator that allows you to play rated and casual games on your browser. Advanced OCG, Genesis, Speed Duel, Rush Duel, and even Domain or Ranked Goat and Edison and every other legacy format that exists, yada yada. So that's very cool, very interesting. A lot of people have said this already. It is like Dueling Book, but probably without the slurs, which is probably a good thing if we're being honest, but it is good that we have, some more ways to play. And I think seeing as like most people usually get their English Rush Duel news, or at least, they if they see it, then they're at least more aware of it through, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or YG organization, whatever. Um, I think this is fun. I think this is going to be really interesting. Obviously, it is not out now. It is out for like the people who support them early on. I think for at least this month, and then it'll be free next month, which will be interesting. I definitely want to try it out. I think it would be interesting to see if we can try and like actually have like a somewhat good like Rush Duel ladder. I would be very interested to try stuff like that and see how that works. Now, I will be curious to see. I'm not really a fan of manual sims. Obviously, this is probably like your closest way to be able to play without or to play like actual paper format without actual paper. So it'll be a different experience for sure, but I'm willing to try it out. Next month will be interesting in regards to being able to play Rush Duel on a different simulator. I know I usually use, Edo Pro for everything, and that'll probably still be the main way I play, but it'll depend on, how good everything else looks. Like, this is obviously going to be not too bad when it comes to maybe showing off combos or just having stuff be a little bit more visible. But like I already play Edo Pro with the top-down format anyway. I hate the isometric way. It doesn't work for me. So I'm not a fan of it. But yeah, I'll be willing to try it out when it comes out next month, and hopefully you guys are too. I did want to see what else they were talking about because there were other things that weren't just the sim. So let's see. 13 years of running the site, 13 years of running Dueling Network, Pojo, Dueling. Okay, a lot of stuff. Uh, let's see. 1 billion page views between YGO.org and Wikipedia. That's amazing. Let's see. The Market Watch. Sure, sure. Check out the Yugi organization. So there's like a new page look. Okay, sure. Like YugiTube, yet another site we're launching that helps you filter the abject chaos of YouTube down to just Yu-Gi-Oh content creators. Sure, sure. Am I on here? Did I make it? If I search up Rush Duels, did I make it, guys? No! I didn't make it. Damn. Damn, I'm not big enough. I'm not big enough yet. One day. One day we'll get there. Let's see. Yeah, it is Tomato, JJ Oscar. Uh all really good. What? Zach Butler did a Rush Duel video? That can't be right. This is 1 year ago, and it has the tags Blue Eyes, Fire King, Kashtira, Malice, Neospatian, Primite, Ryziel, Salman, Great Sky Striker, Guide, and Rush Duel. That is interesting. Sure. Sure, sure, sure. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we're not there yet. Well, one day. One day we'll be there. That'll be fun. Alright, moving on. And the next Psycho Jump promo is going to be Crystal Seer. Crystal Seer is, I believe, a flip monster that allows you to excavate cards. Takes one, you can add it to your hand. The others go to the bottom of your deck. That's fine. It's not a legend monster. You can run 3 of this. There's no hard once per turn, probably. So you could, in theory, get like a bunch of cards from this. But I don't know if it's worth it. It could be good for, things like in a niche situation, you could use this in XYZ. You can play this, but there's no options to get rid of it afterwards. I don't think this is good. I don't think it's that good. There might be a deck in the future that could use this well. But like this is probably it feels like just kind of like generic hand draw and like just moving stuff around that you probably don't want to see in the future, which is fine for the most part, I think. Uh, but it is tied to a low level body, so you can at least use this for tribute material for something in the future. All right, we'll have to see though. A lot of decks feel pretty full in my opinion, but every time I say that, there's something that will just run a like a playset of these, and all of a sudden still be really useful. Anyway, moving on. Discover mysteries with the Lawan Adventurers. So these normal monsters, they got a full theme, and I feel like we were kind of like baited in or like teased into this, right? Because like when they did Jump Festa this year, or I guess technically last year, they did have the they had their Twitter account post with the Lawan Adventurers like normal monster, but they cut out the background, so then you can do one of those like postcard things where you take a picture through it and it's just like the card. Anyway, it they've been using that for a while, and so I don't know if it was just because they thought these were cute and they just wanted to be like, oh, they're adventurers like scouting out the land, and we take them everywhere they go, and so they go to like Jump Festa, they go all these different places and they take pictures, and that's fine. But now they finally have a full theme, and they are plant union monsters. This is very interesting because that they're the only ones of their kind. We can't even be like, oh, we can maybe pair this up with something else. This is I guess. Do we have wind plants? Actually, now that I'm saying this, I don't. Oh, actually, are the yeah, no, we don't have any other wind plants. No, because the shadow flowers are not winds. And so yeah, okay. There you go. So these are our first wind plant dudes. Are they not in here yet, or am I doing this wrong? Oh, I'm doing this wrong. Oh my god, my thing was still looking at the Soitsu cards. That's why I was like, that can't be right. They would be in here already. Yeah, we do have a few. Let's see. Plant. Thank you. How do I? Okay. Yeah, so these are the only wind plant monsters. Yeah, okay. So let's go through them and kind of see what they're all about. This is Lawan Mapper Ivy, level 1 wind plant union effect monster, 800 attack, 0 defense. Send the top card of your deck to the grave. You can choose one face-up wind plant monster on your field and equip this card to it as an equip spell with the following effect. The equipped monsters attack Pierce. If there's 2 or more Lawan Adventurers in your graveyard, your opponent cannot activate trap cards. Lawan Adventurers is the OG. No. Okay, the original's right here. If we don't have a name changer, if we don't have a name changer, I'm going to hate this. I'm gonna hate this deck because I don't like having normal monsters. They're very awkward to play with, and like when we look at the average attack of a lot of these monsters, just at their base stats, they're all really low. I know that one of them is, this one gains attack and everything, but I don't know if that's gonna be your main source of damage, if that's worth it or not. Like, this seems fine, but I don't think this is good, right? We'll just have to keep going. Laon Macho Dex, level 1. Again, Wind Plant Union effect. Are they all level 1s? Oh, no, this one's a level 6. Okay. Sure. That's good at least. You can at least use it to remove some of your level 1s that are on your field. But you can choose one Wind Plant monster on your field and equip it to this card. The equipped monster gains 800 attack. If there's a Laon Adventures in your grave, then the equipped monster gains 800 attack. I can kind of... Okay, sure. So, possible 1600 attack boost. That isn't bad. Your goal is probably to put everything on this guy, huh? Alright, let's keep going. Next up is Laon Sister Heart, level 1 Wind Plant effect monster, not a union. Has the continuous effect during the battle phase. Face-up monsters on your opponent's field lose 500 attack and defense for each face-up equipped spell on your field. So you have to have this on your field. It is. Okay, sure. So what? This is a total of 1,500 attack and defense drop. That's not terrible. It's basically like a Berry Fresh Shy, right? Like, except you don't need to have another Aqua monster on your field. You can just have 3 equip spells. Okay, that's not terrible. That's pretty easy to do with this deck in particular. My only hate for this is that you are probably going to lose it the next turn. But that could be okay. Laon Leader Balsa, level 1 Wind Plant effect monster, 1200 attack. Send the top 2 cards of your deck to the grave. This card's gain 300 attack times the number of face-up cards on your field until the end of the turn. If Laon adventures in your graveyard, then you can draw a card, and if you draw a card for the rest of this turn, you cannot activate the effect of Laon Leader Balsa. Okay, that's not bad. 300 times the number of face-up cards on your field. So, what is this? This is a possible of 2,100 attack increase to make this, what, 3,300 attack, plus, you know, the possible 1,600 makes it a 4,900 attack monster, plus maybe if you want to give it piercing, or if you're lucky, you can do this 3 times. So 49 plus another, what, 32 to make it 781. So you could could you one shot with Laon Leader? I mean, it looks like it. If you play your cards incredibly well, somehow you get Laon Leader Balsa, you get a bunch of other cards on the field, you have triple macho decks in your back row supporting or equipped onto the Balsa, you have a field spell for whatever reason, and then that gives you enough damage to one-shot your opponent. Now, is this a smart thing to do? Probably not, right? This is probably the silliest thing that you can do, but that shouldn't stop you. That shouldn't stop you, because there's a world where you get this off, and that would be really, really funny, right? It would be amazing to be able to get this to work. And I don't know, I might try it. I don't know if we're going to get other cards as well. It could be possible that we don't get a field spell. Is there even a field spell that would be useful? Face up, no. Is there anything that gives plants or winds? Forest? Forest? We could run copies of Forest. Face up, insect, beast, plant, and beast warrior monsters on the field gain 200 attack and defense. So we could run Forest in our deck if we really wanted to utilize the extra spot that a field spell would give us. Is there anything that... Does Following World give you better stuff? No, because it's face-up wind attribute normal monster, so that doesn't really matter. Yeah, okay. So, in theory, you can maximize the amount of attack you gain by running Forest, and that's such a silly thing to do, but it could be worth it. It could be worth it, not for the attack, you know, that the field spell gives, but you actually get 500 attack, technically. You know, that's good value. That is good value if you really want to run it that way. I don't think this is the, like, optimal way to do it, but who knows? Who knows anymore, man? Who knows? This is a silly deck. Next up, UMP Skyphobia. That's a interesting looking plane thing. Okay. It kind of reminds me of, you know, what the like the sky fossils, like those kind of, like, the ancient you know, creature designs, stuff like that. That, who knows? Who knows? If this somehow we tie this back into Sky Fossil, who knows? Level 6 Wind Plant effect monster. During your main phase, if this card is normal or special summon, send the top card of your deck to the grave. How are you special summoning this card in this deck? Okay, there must be a card that does this. For the rest of this turn, this card can attack directly. Then you can choose one Wind Plant Union monster in your grave that you can equip to this card as an equip spell, as if by its own effect. So you can equip without having to do the whole equip process. That's okay. That's pretty good. This is another way of doing some damage. However, it won't be as big as obviously using Balsa. But being able to attack directly is not bad. And like we said, was that 16 times 3 is 48? So that gives you another 4,800 damage if you somehow run all 3 strong Rex or whatever you're called, Macho Dex. Wow, that was so off. So that will give you a lot of attack if you can attack directly without getting, getting, trap carded on. So that is pretty good. Hold on. Yeah, drink some water. UMA is unidentified mysterious animal. This is the Japanese term for cryptid. Oh! So they're using a cryptid to fly through the sky. Okay. I like it. A level 7. All right. So this is the guy that we saw before. I thought this was going to be like Yggdrasil, or not Yggdrasil, Yggdrago support. But apparently it's this support? It's support for these guys? Cordrasil, the Spirit Tree Bunray. Or Boonray. Sorry. Level 7 Wind Plant Effect Monster, 1200 attack, 2500 defense. If there's a face-up spell card on your field, you can special summon this card from your hand face up. Okay, so you could yeah, this is basically for free if you have a union as an equip spell, huh? Send a face-up spell card from your field. Okay, wow, that's kind of awkward. Sure. Send one face-up spell card from your field to the grave and choose one card on your opponent's field and return it to the hand. Is that a good trade-off? Is that good? Probably, right? Because you'd be able to easily get back your union monsters. For the rest of this turn, you cannot attack with monsters except for plant monsters. Okay, that's not bad. Yeah. I mean, this is good removal. There's no way of bringing this back, so you probably still have to run other back row hate. Like, you can use this to hopefully bounce off, like, big monsters and everything, but you do have ways around it, with the Skyforvia. But if it's just something that you are really scared of on the next turn, then do that, and then you can probably run something else on top of that. Next up, the mysterious flying plants are real. Now, you are return one card from the hand to the deck. Oh, interesting. That's a little rough. Sure. Choose one level 4 or lower wind plant monster in your grave and add it to the hand. Okay. Then you can choose a level 6 or higher wind plant monster in your graveyard and special summon to your field face up. For the rest of this turn, you cannot attack with monsters except for plant monsters. So, this is what we're using to special summon the Skyforvia back. You can also use it to get Cordrasil, I guess. But, yeah, actually, can you? Is it a wind plant? Yeah. In your grave and add to your hands. Plus level to your field face up. Sure. Okay, yeah. So, returning one to the deck, adding one card to the hand, and you can special summon, one of 2 monsters. Okay. Sure. And then next up is Encounter with the Sacred Tree. Wow, they got so many cards. Is this all of them? Sorry. Is this all of their cards? That's... Okay. Encounter with the Sacred Tree, normal spell card. Activate the top 4 cards of your deck and show them. You can choose up to 1 Lawan Adventures and up to 1 Wind Plant Effect monster among them and add them to the hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Lawan Adventurers... Oh, I still hate that you have to run this. and up to one wind plant effect monster among them. Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to hit, right? You're probably going to at least hit one of these, right? Wind plant effect monsters, you at least get 6 copies of, because this guy's union. Am I reading? Wait, did I read that right, or am I crazy? Oh no, it's just one wind plant effect monster, not even a union monster. I did read that wrong. Yeah, you're probably gonna hit. You're probably gonna hit at least this half. Whether or not you hit the Lao Adventures is gonna be, you know, up to luck. But being able to just any wind plant of okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Sure, sure, sure. And then finally, the Laon adventurers are go. They are go where? Is he sad that they're leaving, or is he worried that, like, oh god, they're out, they're doing stuff, they're being a little crazy. Who knows? Place one other face-up card on your field to the bottom of the owner's deck. You can choose one face-up monster on your field and choose up to 2 Wind Plant Union monsters in your graveyard that you can equip to that card as equipped spell cards as if by their own effects. Okay. Okay, sure. So you can use this to remove any, unnecessary level 1s or anything that's left on the field for whatever reason. And then you're going to be able to equip, the two. Okay, so the OTK is actually possible. I was kind of joking about this, but it could actually be possible to hit your opponent with over 8,000 points of damage from just one guy. That's going to be interesting, because being able to add back, 2 Wind Plant Union monsters in your grave means that you would be able to target your macho decks from your graveyard and then put them on. And you wouldn't have to worry too much about equipping them onto other monsters, because then you have ways to bring them back out. Oh my god, it's actually happening. It's actually a real thing. The OTK from the leader Balsa might actually be a legitimate strategy to try and beat your opponents. All right, sure. Even though that's not like the only way. Skyformia does exist. You can technically also do these with some of the other monsters if you have no other choice, right? Like 1200 attack is nothing to scoff at. Being able to increase it, right, to 2800 attack maybe with macho decks is still a really strong monster. Like, you shouldn't be afraid of equipping stuff onto other monsters, even though you might want to do the incredibly cool Balsa OTK. Like, you should try and win the game anyway. So if there's other ways to do that, do so. My only concern is, oh my god, none of these have protection. None of these, they're just gonna get destroyed. Oh my god, just one interruption is just gonna end your entire life cycle. Like, oh god. Other than that though, this is gonna be a pretty interesting deck. I'm surprised that they decide to go this way with this deck, because, like, it's not the usual way of going about it, but it is a fun union strategy, and we do need some of those, because we just got unions. We gotta play around with them. We gotta see what we can do. So if it took them this long to use the Laon Adventurers, and then turn them into, an equipped deck or a union deck, then what other old archetypes could we also do this with? I'm gonna be quite curious to see. Anyway, moving on. Burn it all down with Surtur the Brilliant Magical Sword. Oh my god, I am so excited for this card. Like they said, we are no longer 9 because Surtur is our first Overrush Rare Premium Black version that is not a level 9 monster. We have gone through all of the attributes already, so once we found out that they are continuing the Overrush Rare Premium Blacks, that does mean that we are going to have some other theme or some other thing that ties them all together. It could be possible that they're doing this again just with all level 4 monsters. That's not a bad idea either. This is just a really fun thing that they're doing, and I really like the idea that, that they're just at least attributing them to different attributes and stuff like that. But they could switch it up. Who knows? This is the first one of the new like quote unquote set. So I mean, and oh my god, what a cool one to start out with. Like I love the artwork here. Even the normal art looks really really nice. Like we got the like this could have been an Infernoble and I don't know. The or like a yeah, probably just an Infernoble. I don't think an Ignite would they would be able to disguise themselves as an Ignite. But like this is such cool card artwork. Oh my god, like this is great. This is great. I love it so much. Anyway, Surtur, the Brilliant Magical Sword, level 4 Fire, Pyro, Effect Monster, 800 attack, 1300 defense. Pay 500 life points and send this face-up card from your field to the grave. So, we are, just like all the other Overrush Rare Premium Black cards, we are still, or like cards that have an Overrush Rare Premium Black version, I guess is the better way to say that. You do have to pay 500 life points. So we're still continuing this. I thought this would only be for like the level 9s because they, they're pretty high level and they do some fun stuff, but we're still doing it down here in the level 4s. So, all right, sure. Choose one face-up monster in your field except a maximal monster. I don't know how this would even work when you can't even put a maximal monster on the field and this at the yeah, I don't know how this would work because you can't have a maximal monster and this on the field at the same time. So, anyway, and return it to the owner's hand. If you return a monster whose original level is 7, then you can just draw a card. For the rest of this turn, you cannot activate the effect of Surtur, the Brilliant Magical Sword. So, there's one obvious place that this card is going to go to, and that is obviously the healthy card, or healthy, however we want to go about it. This is really good for them, because, like we already talked about, all the level 7 healthy monsters can summon themselves onto the field without any tributes whatsoever. Now, some of them do have hard once per turn effects, which does kind of suck. But for the ones that don't, this is not a bad option to be able to, play Surtur, remove it off to the field, bounce one of your own cards, play it again, use the effect, yada yada. Now, is that worth it? Who knows? We'll have to see. We don't have all of the healthy cards available to us now. We're still missing a few that they have not shown us. I'm very excited to be able to play with them, though. I think this could be one. This could honestly be my next pet deck. Like this looks like such a fun deck. It might not even be a pet deck. It might be the deck that I want to play in the future. It's such a cool concept. But yeah, this is probably where it goes, and the stats match up, right? Like, let me make sure. Let me make sure that is correct, because there is... actually, it doesn't matter, right? I thought there was a card that cared about it, but not really. Or maybe it was one of the other cards that aren't... I have a healthy fake deck here. Ritual Summon using... face of level 7 or higher power type monster with 1300 defense. Yeah, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Healthy Mind, Speed Buzzer Battle. No, that's still using level 7s. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you don't care about the stat line. It does have 1300 defense like all the other ones, so that's cool. Oh, face up Pyro type monsters with 1300 original defense in the field can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects. This is healthy Lamilla, that was correct. That's probably not going to matter. I mean, it's good defensive option if you want to use this effect and then make sure that you don't get, treacherous trap hold, right? At least you have protection from that. But outside of that, you're going to be using the effect right away as soon as you summon it. So I think that is totally fine. It's still a good card for the deck. We have to see what the other healthy cards do, but oh my god, I really want this card. Like, this has jumped up to like number 2, right? Number 1 is still Blaze Fant for me. Like, if I could get the Blaze Fant Overrush Rare Premium Black version, that's great. That's probably like my number 1. And then Surtur's my number 2, followed by I don't know, probably Sworn Supporter. Sworn Supporter is a really good one. And Ether Dragon. And then who would be my 5th? What was that 5? No, my fifth would probably be Last Call Chainverse. That's a pretty fun one. Uh, yeah, yeah. Those would be my top five for now. It's not a long list. There's only what, 7 cards, so then the other two are kind of just there. But yeah, this will be really good. This is just a fun card. I love the artwork. Really cool design. But yes. All right, last page. Next up, we have Accept the Silent Blessings of Arthene. Arthene? I don't know how to pronounce it. But we are finally getting other cards for this one equip spell. Right? Arthene has been around for a while. Arthene. The protection of Arthene is an equip spell that lets you shuffle one monster from your grave into the deck and equip this card to one face-up monster on your field. The equipped monster can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects, and if an equipped spell in your grave, the equipped monster gains 300 attack. So this has been around for a while. However, now we're finally getting a few more cards that kind of go with it. Now, are they good? Who knows? But are they lovely support? Hell yeah, they are, and that is really all I care about. Because we finally have good support for Lovely. Oh my god. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. I feel like the identity of Lovely has kind of shifted so much. I have to go back and like really think about what I want to do with this deck. Because like right now, my iteration of Lovely is interruption and removal. If you can get rid of all their stuff on their board on their turn, then you obviously have nothing to worry about when it's back to your turn again, right? And like a lot of the stuff that I have is just turning stuff face down, just removing things or just stuff like that. And then you use the cell phone or whatever to help remove more cards. You have Lovely Clean or whatever and stuff like that. But this is a different direction. This feels like a more offensive option where you kind of don't have to worry too much about monsters, and instead you can kind of focus a lot of removal on maybe target more of your removal to the back row instead, and things like that. But we'll have to see. Anyway, starting off, we have the Praying Hand of the Sacred Silence, or Disciple of the Sacred Silence. Level 1, Light Fairy Effect Monster. Even the attribute and the typing is correct. Oh my god. 0 attack, 1200 defense. During the main phase that this card is normal or special summon, send the top 2 cards of your deck to the grave. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, neither player takes battle damage from this card battling. I mean, sure. Then you can choose one Fairy Union monster or one Protection of Arthene in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Or Arthene. How do you pronounce this? Arthene. Translate. Switch. Is it 100?
Arthene.
Arthene. Okay, yeah. Arthene. Sure. Thanks, Google Translate. Next up. We have the Cathedral of Arthene. When your opponent normal summons a monster, or when your opponent monster declares an attack, you can choose a Fair Union monster or Protection of Arthene in your grave and place it to the bottom of your deck. Okay, sure. Then you can choose a face-up monster in your opponent's field and change it to face-down defense position. That's okay. That's not bad. I like the fact that you can wait until the attack declaration. This does give you a bit of a wider window for using this trap card compared to things like, Shiny Shady or other cards that, would disrupt on the main phase only, right? Having this be a possible reactive battle trap is not a bad idea, especially because this allows you to not have to think too hard about when to activate this, right? Like, as long as your opponent doesn't have any removal, right, you would be able to wait until the attack happens before using this, and then they have no way of stopping this unless, of course, their monsters can't be flipped to face-down defense position, which then you're kind of, SOL and whatever, but It's possible. We do have cards that do that nowadays. But this is good. This is pretty good. Next up, the Sacred Spear of Arthene. So when I first saw the artworks of these cards, right, the Sacred Shield and the Sacred Spear, I thought this was going to be a Maxwell monster. I swear. I was like, okay, level 1, like, Maximum monster, sure, sure. And then I was like, where's the body? And like, here's the body, but there was no maximum text. And I was like, these aren't maximum pieces. What's going on? Turns out they're unions. Yeah, we're getting these are union effect monsters. Okay. You can choose one face-up fairy monster on your field and equip this card to it as an equip spell with the following effect. The equipped monster gains 800 attack and its attacks pierce. Oh my god, it's so good. We finally don't have to rely on I Love Ange to be able to, you know, pierce through the defensive line. We can finally equip this onto your All Love Goddess 3,800 attack and then hit through them like that. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Oh god, that's so nice. But yeah, this is a pretty fun card. Being able to finally pierce through the defenses is something that this desperately needed. Obviously, I Love Ange is fine, but it only gets 2,200 attack. You can buff it with other stuff, but like it never felt worth it, right? Like you would rather just use all your other pieces of removal to get rid of your opponent's monsters and then try and go in for the attack there. But that uses up a lot of resources to do so. If you can just equip an equip spell, put it onto your highest attack monster, and then just hit them through their defense, that's also a really, really good, you know, alternative. And so I'm glad that we finally have this. Next up, the Sacred Shield of Arthene. Another level 1 Light Fairy Union Effect monster. Choose one face-up fairy monster in your field and equip this card to it as an equip spell with the following effect. The equipped monster gains 400 attack and defense and cannot be returned to the hand, deck, or extra deck by effects. Face-up equipped spell cards on your field cannot be destroyed by your opponent's effects. We have protection. We have actual protection for this deck. It's actually beautiful. It is so beautiful. Like, obviously, like, All Love Goddess already has some, like, it has, like, battle protection technically, right? Like, you know, you take no battle damage from battles involving your monster with 0 attack, right? Like, it's good for, you know, if your opponents can't read, this is a great card. But we didn't really have other things that could give you that sort of protection outside of I Love Ange, right? Obviously, she's really good because face-up monsters on your field with 0 original attack cannot be destroyed by your opponent's monster effects or spell card effects. Sure, this is fine on the defensive option, but you know, this doesn't protect you from, you know, the potential mirror forces and stuff like that. This doesn't protect you from treacherous trap holes. This doesn't protect you from other things that could, other trap cards and stuff like that. So, this is a bit more. This is obviously single target protection, which is fine, but it's just nice to have. I think this is just giving us more options of protecting our monsters and doing stuff like that. I think this is a viable option if we want to run it that way. Now, the bounce protection is also really good, right? This is just something that we don't really see, that we haven't seen yet on any of the other cards. Face-up equip spells cannot be destroyed, so this does also protect your Love Shoot. So you can still run that, or I still run one copy anyway, just because it could be good. But yeah, that's not bad either. Now, what else could we do with this? I don't think there really is too much. I'd have to play around. But I'm so happy that we have some of the answers that I was hoping for, right? Like, we needed more, like, just more ways of protecting your All Love Goddess. Just because there's just so many other ways to destroy her that aren't just spell effects or monster effects and things like that. This gives you bounce protection. Sure, we're still weak to the trap removal. We're still weak to all the trap holes. We're still kind of weak to the battle traps and stuff like that. but it's better than nothing. This is better than nothing. I am totally fine with this. All right. And then finally, we have Arthane, the Defender of Sacred Silence. What a cool name. Light Fairy Union Effect Monster, level 5. Okay, is this worth adding? Because it does have 2,000 attack. So, unfortunately, this does kind of... I mean, okay. Let's be real. The lovely deck used to care about how many... or if you had any monsters with 0 attack in your grave. However, I don't think it matters anymore. I honestly don't think they care about that anymore. They still want to have stuff with 0 attack in your graveyard, but you clearly can do that with any of the other cards you run in this deck. Obviously, a lot of your other, like, really specific spell cards that do some really good stuff, yes, they care about that, but not as much anymore. Honestly, like, you could run some other things in this deck if you feel like it synergizes really well, and it doesn't have to have, 0 attack. So this could be a potential add. Send the top 2 cards of your deck to the grave, and you can choose one face-up monster on your field and equip this card to it as an equipped spell card with the following effect. The equipped monster gains 1,000 attack, also really good, and during your turn, your opponent cannot activate trap cards when it declares an attack. This is the protection I'm looking for. It is attached to a 2,000 attack Light Fairy Union Effect monster. Do I care? I don't think so. I really don't think I care. I think this might be something I add. But but that does mean that I'm going to have to change how my deck plays. There could just be 2 different flavors of Lovely, right? Because the one that I play right now is mostly focused on Lovely Connect, right? And then you can, by removing cards and stuff like that, adding cards back, Lovely Connect is a really good source of removal. You're able to bring it back with... Can you bring it back? Maybe you can't. Yeah, I thought you could. Lovely Connect, Lovely Clean, the Ferrichette, and stuff like that. Sure. Oh, I guess you can use... Yeah, that's why I have Galactica Yamaivu in here. Yeah, that makes more sense. But, these are really good options to be able to, I guess, kind of play it in a more removal type of way. However, we could go more offensive here if we remove, if we move the Lovely Cleans, the Ferrichette, and the... What else would I remove here? Maybe the Brastus? I have Brastus here just as, like, another... Or just as, a pseudo... what was that guy's name? Pseudo copycat? Because I am running the calculator here for, massive damage. But, yeah, we could do that. I do have Draco the Handpick because I do run Draconic Peace Bomber. That's also stuff that we can remove. And we can go for a more offensive option here. That's not a terrible idea. We could just have a defensive interruption removal face down type deck. And then we can have a more offensive, equip spell focus type deck. And we can kind of see which one works better. Right? Do we change how Lovely plays now because of this? I'm not entirely sure. I haven't played with the cards enough to be able to figure that out. Adrian, hello! It has been going well. I hope you've been doing well as well. Let's see. Moving on. I think that was it. Yeah. And then just to make sure we don't have any extra surprise news, I don't believe we do. All right, good. Usually they don't post anything on a Wednesday. It's usually some of the other days of the week. They did one yesterday. So Wednesday is a pretty good day usually to be able to talk about the news because, yeah, they don't usually put anything up. Anyway, we are going to move on to the next part of the stream. Now, we've already talked about this early on, and I guess I should probably change my window before we actually start. Oh god, it's so small. Oh, it's because I have to do this. There we go. Now we're good. But the window is not fitting onto the screen, so we have to fix that a little bit. Oh my god, did I just make this like huge or what? There we go. Oh, it's because like this doesn't fit. It doesn't fit properly. Anyway, yes. So now you can kind of see this. Where do I put it? This is in alphabetical order. I have so many decks. Instant versus S poly. There we go. Okay, so let's start with a proper thing. Anyway, Instant Fusion has been added to Rush Duels. It is a legend spell, and it kind of does the thing that it always does, right? During a turn that you have not activated Instant Fusion, pay 1,000 life points, and you can fusion summon a level 5 or lower fusion monster without using materials. The monster special summoned by this effect can't attack, and is sent to the grave during the end phase of this turn. Pretty standard stuff. In advanced format, this is a menace of a card, especially in fusion-based decks, right? We're looking at, Tier Lament and things like that, where, all you needed to do was bring out your Kit Colossus, and all of a sudden you're online, you're ready to go. However, in the future, we are also going to be getting However, in the future, we're also going to be getting super polymerization. Now, this is a really good card for a different reason. By sending one card from your hand to the grave, you can fusion summon. By sending monsters from either field to the grave as material, you cannot use face-down monsters on your opponent's field. Neither player can activate trap cards when a monster is special summoned by this effect. Because we don't have quick play spells in Rush Duels, this is, the next best thing, right? Like, your opponent wouldn't be able to interact with the activation of this card anyway, but we do at least give it protection when the fusion monster comes out. However, you can notice that this is not a legend spell, even though this is also a really good form of interruption and a really good board breaker in a lot of decks, right? Like, usually you run this as a side deck option, or maybe if you're crazy enough, or if you're running actually, they run this in Fairy Tail, right? So, yeah, I mean, whatever. You're running this as an option to help remove big monsters on your opponent's field because you have a bunch of generic fusion monsters in your extra deck. However, Rush Duels doesn't really have that. There are no generic fusion monsters per se, like, one or like two fiend type monsters or two spellcasters and stuff like that, right? Like, it's usually pretty specific on what they want. Now, is that enough for it to justify not being a legend spell? We'll have to figure it out. So today, what I have here is kind of two different lists of what each card can potentially bring out. The first line in our extra deck option is all of the majority, or at least some of the strong options for instant fusion. These side decks have all of the fusion monsters that you could technically use with your super poly, depending on the circumstance. You might see some that are a bit more type specific than others, but we'll kind of just go through why I've added them here and, talk about them. And in the end, I kind of want to just discuss why instant fusion is a legend spell, and why super poly isn't, and probably will. Yeah, I don't think they'll ever errata this to become a legend spell. I think super poly is really not that strong in Rush Duels. Instant Fusion, however, has a lot more potential, and I think that's why it got forced into the legend slot. And we'll look into the reasons why that might be. So, starting off, actually, let me drink some water first. Starting off, Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion allows you to fusion summon anything that's level 5 or lower, or any level 5 or lower fusion monster, without any material. So, this does give you this does narrow down the options of what you should theoretically summon. Because you cannot attack with a monster this turn, obviously you shouldn't bring out something that is just big numbers and or high stat values and stuff like that. Instead, what you're looking for are fusions with utility. Things that can still activate their effects and do some really good stuff to help you on your field, or help you, remove stuff on your opponent's field. Now, we have quite a few options here. There are some that I'm missing, some that I'm kind of like putting all together as one thing overall. But starting off, we have Bikuri Bot. This does use 2 Kuribot, but that doesn't matter anymore. During the main phase that you fusion summon this card, you can special summon a level 7 monster from your grave face up to your field. Then, for this turn, this face-up card can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a monster in attack position. So, yeah, I mean, this is really strong utility. This is really good for level 7 centric decks. You can use this to kind of, without having to worry about, throwing in random useless curry bots, you can put this onto your field, get some level 7s back. I can definitely see this having some fun usage in, obviously Ship is good. Healthy could use, Healthy doesn't care about this. T-Bold could use this possibly if they don't really have another option for their legend spell except for, actually, what do I run in my current T-Bold deck? Because I do have that. Oh my god, I have so many decks. T-Bold, my legend spell. Yeah, my legend spell is just Graceful Charity, which is, I mean, technically good. But as you can see here, I do have Currybot. I didn't run B Currybot, I guess. Maybe I made this before B Currybot was out. I think that might have been the case. Anyway, but yeah, so you do already kind of run B Currybot here because it's nice to get the extra like tribute to make your level 7s. But, this deck is going to change so much now that we have a little bit better options for our level 7s. We'll have to see. Okay, going back to our instant fusion stuff. So yeah, B Currybot is a really good option if you are running level 7s in your deck. But if you're not, we might have to look at some other options. Another option that I was looking at was the familiar possessed cards. Now, we only have 2 of them. We have Area, we have Win. But their continuous effect of being able to, give their associating attribute piercing damage could be really good in times where you just need to remove stuff on the field. Obviously, you won't be able to attack with this monster, and it will go away afterwards, but it could be worth it if you have like a really strong board, but your opponent just has all their stuff in defense position. You can't pierce through it, and you're like, this hurts. This hurts so much. I could have lethal on the board, but if only their monsters were in defense position. Whatever shall I do? Ooh, I draw instant fusion. Fusion summons familiar possessed area. Oh, now all my water type monsters have piercing. Ooh, I hit them for game. Ooh, it's over. Things like that, right? Like that's the play style in my mind. That's the delusion that I have with this card. But it is an option nowadays. You could do this if you really want to deal some high amount of damage really fast. Next up is Interscribe. Send the top card of your deck to the grave. You can fusion summon a light attribute galaxy monster by sending a monster from your hand or field to the grave of its material, including this card. So you already can easily contact use this card with 2 Interstellimes, but maybe you don't have to run so many Interstellimes anymore if you can run this, right? Like, being able to gain access to a fusion summon with this card is not bad. Unfortunately, like, is this worth it? Because what are we running? Because, like, we're competing, right? With a lot of these decks, you are competing with, I put painful choices this. Okay, maybe not painful choice, but you are up against basically Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, True Nade, and stuff like that. All of these very generic utility spells that give you, card draw, resources, removal, and things like that. So, like, you really have to make it worth your while. So is Interscribe good? It might be in some situations. If you believe that you're not going to mill this card, you believe that you can be able to get the instant fusion out, sure. Next up, Bear Lilith. This is a card that I haven't seen in a long ass time. Return 1 monster on your opponent's field to the hand. Then your opponent can special summon 1 monster from their hand in face-up attack position to their field. So this is a interesting option. Now, the goal of being able to use this card is obviously you get to bounce a card. However, then they can just special summon it again. Now, is that worth it? It depends, right? Like, if you bounce a fusion monster, then obviously they don't get it back to their hand. It goes back to the extra deck. It doesn't matter anymore, right? But if you bounce, a level 7, or if you bounce something else, then they can immediately bring it back. That does kind of suck. But like, this is a really good card in removing, rituals, fusions, and things like that. Anything that would not go directly back into your hand. And even if it does, right? Like, maybe it might remove some other effects, right? Maybe it had some crazy buffs, right? Like if it was attached to some union cards and stuff like that, then you can bounce it. All the unions go back probably to the graveyard, right? I don't think the union monsters, when their equipped spells, go back to your hand as well. I think they count as being destroyed, so they go to your graveyard, and then they summon them back, weaker, right? And so that could be an option as well, right? So that is a really good thing there too. So this I can see being a pretty good target to have. Now, where would you put this? I'm still not sure. This could just be a side deck option, right? These two I can definitely see. If you're really desperate for, removal, this could be an option, right? But like, this is probably your best one so far. Next up is Vic Viper Ripple Laser. Now, the reason I added this was because it mills 2, which is pretty good. And then you can make up to 2 face-up monsters on your opponent's field, lose 800 attack, which is a debuff. It's not that strong of a debuff. 800 attack is, whatever. But I think the milling is really good, and who knows? The debuff could actually mean something for your attack and stuff like that. So it's fine. But like, this is not a bad option either, right? Like, obviously you would love to mill some more cards if you can, or if your deck needs it, so that you can hopefully hit something good with your other cards. But yeah, this is another good option. Candy All. This allows you to special summon a level 6 or lower psychic type monster from your grave face up to your field. I mean, this is fine for psychic decks. I mean, that's probably why you would run this, but I don't know. I don't know if this is worth it in a deck like that. But this one is not bad. This one is not bad. So, Lightclad Dragon Egg allows you to special summon a level 7 or higher monster from your hand face up to your field. Then, if you special summon a monster whose original type is Worm by this effect, it gains 800 attack and inflicts piercing battle damage, at least for the turn. Honestly, the special summon a level 7 or higher monster is pretty nice. I think this is a pretty good option to have. Especially if you don't have enough tributes for something. This is a great way to cheat them out, whatever it might be. But I mean, if it's a worm for whatever reason, that this is also really good. If you don't have the materials to make this in like your Cloud Dragon deck or whatever, sure, I guess. But yeah, this is fine. And then let me move all of these this way. Yeah. So next up is all of the low-level Harpy Fusion monsters. So this is good because they're all good, but you hate to add the materials in your deck. Harpy Kara Charming Dress allows you to mill 3, and then if you have a level 2 Winged Beast type monster in your graveyard, you can make a face-up monster on your opponent's field, lose 1500 attack. This is a really good debuff. Now, do you want to run Harpy Kara or Harpy Kara in your deck? Hell no, you don't. Right? Like, this is not something that you want to see in your deck as a card, really. But if you can instant fusion it out, this is a pretty decent debuff, and that's fine. Harpy Regina Splendid Armor? Okay, this one maybe. But during the main phase that you special summon this card, you can change the battle position of one monster on your opponent's field. Then if you have Splendid Slash in your grave, you can destroy a defense position monster on your opponent's field. So like, this is not bad. This is really good removal, right? Like, Splendid Slash is a really good card. If you don't want to run Harpy Regina, you could use this, instant fusion it out, and then boom, now you have removal. That's great. Moving on, we have Harpy Cielo Light Skirt. This allows you to add up to 2 Harpy Lady Sisters from your graveyard to your hand. Also, a not a bad option, but God, you're not going to be running Harpy CLO by yourself. So this is a good option to be able to recycle some of your Harpy Lady sisters. And then Harpy Lady Feather Duster then allows you to destroy a spell trap on your opponent's field, and it name changes to Harpy Lady, which you can then use for whatever other contact fusion, whatever other fusion thing, or any other monster effect that requires cards to be Harpy Lady. Like, this is great. These are all great options to have. Now, is it worth it? Still don't exactly know, especially now that Harpies have gained a lot of their lower levels back at the cost of losing 1, 2, and 3. We'll have to see what Harpies are really looking for. What are they needing right now that, Instant Fusion could give them? Who knows? And then next up, we have Elemental Hero Voltic Wingman. This will be really good for hero decks because it allows you to fusion summon a level 6 or 8 or 6 through 8 warrior type monster that can only be fusion summoned by shuffling monsters from your graveyard to the deck as material. So this will allow you to essentially just do like a miracle fusion type thing, I guess, at the cost of your instant fusion. That's not bad, right? Especially if you lost your fusion monster in a turn, then you can fusion summon it back, and stuff like that. There's a lot of good options for this. I think this is totally fine for hero decks if they want to run this card instead. Alchemicalize Orb. Now this is, I think, pretty generic. Choose one face-up monster on your field, and for the rest of this turn, that monster inflicts piercing battle damage. Then you can place one spell trap card from your opponent's field on the top of their deck. So give one of your boss monsters piercing, great. Bounce a spell trap card back to your opponent's deck, even better, right? This is a pretty good generic option if you want to be able to be a little bit more offensive and get some removal in. So that's not a bad option either for what you have. Next up, for, I guess, Wind Warrior decks. Not even just, Music Princesses specifically, but we have a few decks that are just Wind Warriors. So we kind of can put them all together with this card. This is Toon Flute Tomahawk, the Music Princess. You can contact use this, of course, but whatever. Send the top 4 cards of your deck to the grave, then you can special summon a level 7 or higher Wind Warrior type monster from your grave face up to your field. Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is good for the Wind Warriors. We have quite a few, right? Where is War? Did I miss it? Oh, it was like the very first one. Yeah, we have the Music Fiend. We have obviously the Music Princesses. We have the Speed cards. Goe is a wind, but is a level 4, so it doesn't really matter. Let's see. Those might be the only options. But I mean, we also have the fusions as well, right? Elemental Heroes. I don't think Elemental Heroes Scar Neos counts. I guess I could put level 7 and see specifically. Okay, the list isn't as big. Level 7 or higher. Oh, okay. That's good at least. Okay, we're getting a few more options. 9. Yeah, so a lot of just fusion stuff, which I think is fine. Right? Speed Officer is not bad. Basically gives you another thing that you can destroy. And then Soitsu and Doitsu can be special summoned by using instant fusion. Now, is this worth it? Not unless you are playing the Itsus in a deck, right? But like being able to have access to this right away, especially if you don't have Soitsu and Doitsu in your hand, sure, right? Why not? This could be a fun addition just so that you have this, and then you can be able to bring out any of your other Itsus from your graveyard and stuff like that, fill up your board a little bit more. I am fine with it. I'm honestly okay with that. But yeah, just a fun little option. So overall, I think there's like 1, 2, 3, 4-ish 4.5 cards that are generic enough that you can probably use this in your deck no matter, what typing or stuff like that, right? Like your generic decks can probably use Bikuriban unless they're not running level 7s. That's why it's a 0.5. Alma Bear Lilith is just generic removal. This is also level 7 stuff, so this is actually also 0.5. So maybe it's just 4. Maybe just 4 out of these cards. And like there's a few other monsters that I might not have included. So if I'm missing any that you think are highlights that should be included, please let me know in the comments, or if you're here, let me know through there as well, or through the chat as well. But other than that, those are instant fusion targets. Now let's kind of look at Super Poly. I don't think Super Poly is that strong in Rush Duel. Super Poly is really good in advanced format because you can kind of play this whenever, and there's so many targets for it that you can basically break down your opponent's board if you have the right monsters on the field, right? However, that's not the case in Rush Duels. Like I mentioned before, we don't have any, if at all, generic enough targets. The only deck that really can utilize the Super Poly well is Delirium. And as you can see here, that's the first card that we're going to talk about. The Delirium monsters are all monsters that essentially already kind of do this, right? Let's move to my Delirium deck. Okay, that's fine. So the Delirium monsters allow you to already fusion summon by using Delirium Embrace. Fusion summon a light attribute insect type monster by sending a face-up monster from your field and face-up level 9 or lower monster from either field to the grave as material. And then you can only talk about insect, but that doesn't matter. But like this already is giving us the Super Poly vibes. And we have so many cards in the deck that turn your opponent's monsters to insects to be able to facilitate that fusion summon, to be able to make all of their fusion monsters. So Delirium Larva, as you can see, is 2 level 6 or lower insect type effect monsters. You can pretty easily do this if your opponent isn't running anything that strong. If your opponent's board is pretty weak with low level monsters, you can probably get this done. You could also reduce levels thanks to some of the other Delirium monsters as well. So you could still be able to use this to make Larva. We do have Onerophrenia Delirium Sylvix. This is 2 level 7 through 9 insect type effect monsters. So you can probably, if you're lucky, you should be able to use a lot of their boss monsters for this, right? Your opponent's boss monsters are prime targets for this to be able to make this card. And you can also, if you have the requirements for it, right? Shuffle 3 non-level 9 insect monsters from your grave back into the deck. It gains 500 attack, and you can shuffle a card from your opponent's field back into their deck. That's pretty good. So if you can do this multiple times, that's not bad. Even if you can only get the effect off once, having multiple monsters or having multiple Onerophrenias with 3,500 attack is a scary board to be looking at. So that is not bad. I think Out-of-Risk can play this card. It's on the list. We'll get there. We will get there. Next up is specifically like targeting spellcasters. If for whatever reason you are playing, Seven's Road and you're going up against another spellcaster deck for whatever reason, this is not a bad option either. Seven's Road Ultimate Witch requires Seven's Road Witch and a Magical Knight type or spellcaster type fusion monster. So that's probably your opponent's end board anyway, if they're also running spellcasters, if they're running Seven's Road, if they're running I guess you could also use this for what is it? The other fusion, god. Light spellcaster Celebros. I cannot the name escaped me. Oh my god, I had such a big brain fart there. But yes. If you're running against Celebros and you're playing another the 7th Road deck, you could use this as an option. Is it worth it? No, not really, but whatever. Galaxy has a lot of cards, a lot of fusion monsters that require other Galaxy type monsters. So for whatever reason, galaxies are back on the board. You can have this as a super poly target. Any of the other galaxy. I have a bunch of I have this card on here twice. Anyway, I have a bunch of galaxy type monsters on here because a lot of them are one specific card that you're probably already running, and then other galaxy effect monsters that your opponents might be running as well. So if you're in the galaxy mirror match, these are great. But yes, as it was already mentioned by MZ, Outerverse is actually a really pretty good option. Outerverse, if you're playing Outerverse, Super Poly is not bad for you because Outerverse Endless Doom Oblivion requires Outerverse Burst Oblivion and 2 non-light attribute monsters. That's pretty likely. That's 5 out of the other 6 attributes that you would possibly need. So unless your opponent is running lights, then you might be, SOL. But that if they're not, you're free to be able to fusion summon this, right? Like, this is a really good board breaker because it doesn't care about the levels. It just cares that they're non-light attribute monsters. Like, oh my god, this is such a incredible add to the Outerverse deck. This will be so good for them to be able to just break boards this way and just bring out a 3,500 attack monster, right? And like, that's so crazy to me. That's so crazy to me that they're like, yeah, this is fine. This is fine. What's the worst that could possibly happen? I can definitely see Outerverse making a comeback in the future, especially if they get more Outerverse support, which I'm expecting, especially because they are technically an anime deck. So they are probably going to be getting more support in the future. They are still missing a few other cards from the anime. I don't know if they're ever going to add those, but there could be other cards that they could do as well. So there's that option. Like I mentioned already, the Light and Dark Galaxy monsters have so many fusions that just require other galaxy monsters, so we don't have to go through those. Tribe Mirror Dragon is probably pretty good for, if you're facing up against dragon monsters and stuff like that. This requires just a level 7 Earth attribute dragon monster and 2 other dragon types. Send this top card of your deck to the grave. One face-up monster on your field cannot be destroyed by card effects, and if attacked a defensive position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. So, it's not bad overall, right? Like, this is pretty good generically. It's 3,300 attack, which is also just really big. So this could be worth it if you are running, some Earth Dragon stuff. But Joint Tech Tri Dynabase is also a not bad option too. This requires Joint Tech Nestidar Tank and 2 non-machine type monsters, which is a pretty big pool if you ask me. Anyway, if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. This card can make up to 3 attacks during the turn it was fusion summoned by sending monsters whose original names are Voidbell Requiem and Abyss Slayer Levianite to the grave as material. Okay, that part might not matter. But you get a 3,000 attack monster onto the board if you run the Joint Tech the Joint Tech Nestidar tank. It is a level 7. That's fine. I think it might be worth it. There's a world where that might be worth it. I don't know where, but like, if you can make this work, you do have a pretty good way to remove quite a few monsters. So I think this is a fairly decent option to have. We already talked about the Delirium cards. This is once again a really good option. Voidful Star Stripe, you do need Heaven Star and a Wind attribute monster. That's not outside of the realm of possibilities, especially if we are still playing against the damn zombies. That is because, Guy Gust. Guy Gust and all the other Defiant Souls, they are wind monsters. If your opponent leaves a Guy Gust, the Defiant Soul-clad soul, onto the field, you would be able to use it, right? Yep, it is a level 5, so you still would be able to use it. as material for your Heaven Star. And like Voidalfur is a fun deck. I like it a lot. We just need more Voidalfur fusions, right? We just need some of the other fusion monsters that would use the other attributes, right? Because Mayfly is water, Starstripe is wind, and stuff like that. We do have another one that we could be using, but we do not have it here right now. And the Defiant, or not the Defiant, we were just looking at that. The Necromaids are all light, so that doesn't really matter for them. However, you know, like I said, if your opponent is leaving the Gygust on the field, then at least you have a way to remove it. I mean, it doesn't have high attack anyway, but you'd rather go up against 0 attack than 2000 attack, regardless. So, yeah, this is not a bad option there. I would love a fire type one to be able to, you know, pick off some of... actually, no, they would all be level 9s. And that wouldn't be able to be targeted by some of the Voidalfur. Yeah, never mind. Prime Cat Strania is Prime Claw Girl and a light attribute monster. So if for whatever reason you want to be running Prime Claw Girl, you can be doing that. It's easier to summon because although I believe Prime Claw Girl is a level 7... yeah, it is a prime card, which means you can just tribute it by using one monster just to get it onto the field. Then you can super poly and then go up against and then take whatever light attribute monster your opponent might have. That's possible. That's actually decent enough to, you know, get rid of things like... actually, wait, the Necromage are light, right? Yeah, the Necromage are light. So you could be using it that way to get rid of Necromage and stuff like that if there's still an issue for whatever reason. And then some of the newer cards that we don't have released yet. Oh, actually, you can also run Valstorm here. Valstorm the Skullcrag King, right? If you're a 3 level 8 or lower zombie type monsters, I believe this works. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but Valstorm is also a decent target for Super Poly because of the fact that it requires just 3 level 8 or lower zombie monsters. If you're going up against zombie decks, and if zombies are still good by the time this card comes out, we would have... oh my god, would we have an entire year of just zombie pile? I would actually lose my mind. But for whatever reason, if we're still going up against zombie monsters by the time Super Poly comes out, this is not a bad option to have. You can Super Poly if your opponent has a full board of zombies and they are all fitting the requirements. The Super Poly their entire board, make a Valstorm, and all of a sudden they have an empty field, and you have a 2500 attack monster that protects your back row. Like, holy if this works, right? Like, yo, I would be so happy if this worked out the way that I wanted to. So, yeah, there are some great options. There are some not bad options, and our last option that I want to talk about is for a card that hasn't come out yet, right? The Fist, the Contractor of the Imprisoned Dragon, all of these, Star Protector, whatever, Star Saviors, these cards require the specific card, obviously, plus a level 8 or lower water attribute effect monster. I think the other ones require a different type and stuff like that. So there are some generic, materials that they could use here. But other than that, like, yeah. These are some of your main options. The big ones, obviously, like we were just talking about, are probably, these 4-ish. Right? Like Valstorm, the Tridyna Base, the Outerverse, the Delirium. These are all great cards. The other Outerverse, actually, now that I'm talking about it, the other Outerverse fusions also work. They might not work as well, but, the Mother Fungus just requires Bug Fungus and a non-light attribute monster. Once again, that is pretty easy to do. Toxic Blob is the same way. So Outerverse has 3 fusion monsters that would work perfectly with Super Poly to remove anything that isn't light monsters. If you're running a light deck, then obviously you're kind of countering it entirely, but at the same time, this is still also just Outerverse. They can still do a ton of damage. They are still, if they, start snowballing, really annoying to get rid of anyway. So, there's an option there. There's a possibility there. Delirium Larva is probably your best bet because they do not care about attributes. They just care about levels. They care about if your monster is an insect, which you can so easily do by just playing Delirium in general. So that's totally fine. The Tri-Dynabase requires you to run a random ass level 7, technically a brick. So if you can run that risk and you don't really care, that's totally fine. And generic level 7 slop decks, could you find a way to use this anyway? And that's also totally fine. And then Valstorm is directly targeting zombie decks. If you're, like I said, if for whatever reason, by the time this card comes out, which I think is later in the year, and for some reason, Konami hasn't done anything more to either lower the power level of zombies even more, or make a stronger ass deck that finally kicks zombies to the dirt, then you can use this to make Valstorm. But for now, this is like, for now, if you're playing in pre-release, you can use this to go up against any zombie deck. But if you're not, and if you're playing with like current Rush Duel stuff, obviously you cannot use this card. This is not a card that is actually available to you right now, so don't worry about that. But when it comes out, there could be a lot of opportunities. There could be even more monsters that could be added. But now we get to kind of circle this back to the you can circle this back to the original discussion, right? Super Poly is not good for the reasons that only two decks can really utilize this card. And like, even then, we haven't seen how strong that can be yet, right? Like right now, this seems okay, right? Like, obviously this gives you more options to be able to Super Poly. We already have Super Poly at home. So now we have 6 ways to Super Poly, right? And like, that's pretty good. However, right, like, the monsters that are made from this are, they're fine. They don't have as good as protection as they might want, right? And so, you know, there's still a good amount of ways to combat the attack power and the disruption that these cards can do. Sure, your board might be empty, but these don't remove your back row. So you're going to have some really good ways of interrupting and stuff like that. Outerverse, also really strong removal. I mean, this is just really good. But yeah, those are the only 2 decks that can use this as of right now. Everything else is type specific, attribute specific, really niche options that, like, if you are playing against someone that's also using wind type monsters and stuff like that, like things that are so low chance that you'd rather not rely on that chance to add the card to your extra deck if you don't have to. So that's the reason that I think Super Poly is not a legend spell, because there's not a lot of decks that can run this. And I think Konami has learned, you know, obviously in advanced format, I don't think they care anymore about the generic, you know, fusions and stuff like that, right? Like, they'll print whatever generic fusion is just 2 spellcaster monsters, 2 machine monsters, 2 fiends or whatever, right? Like, they don't care anymore, right? They would rather just make a Super Poly target for each of the different types than now focus on doing that for other types. Like, Rush Duel, I don't think will ever just have, you know, 2 spellcasters, right? 2 fiends and stuff like that. They did this with Deliriums, and I think they might not ever do this again, right? And like, that's fine. I think they've learned their lesson about doing these types of things, and I don't think we're at a point in like power level for this game where we should be caring about, you know, directly countering decks with specific extra deck monsters to Super Poly them away and stuff like that. There are tons of other ways of removal. Every monster has a weakness, right? And like, whether it's just hitting them over the head really hard, bouncing them, destroying them, flipping them face down, whatever, every boss monster has a weakness, and you can exploit them for the most part in most decks. And so there's always an out. It's whether or not you draw it, obviously. And like, this gives you other ways of getting the out, sure, but it's like, okay, it's not that strong as of right now. And I don't think it'll ever be that strong. I don't think it'll ever have the potential to be as, board breaking as it is in the advanced format. My thing with instant fusion and why I think it's already posed as a legend spell, even though, like we've already talked about, the amount of like viable options for this is also pretty low, right? Like it has about the same amount of targets that you could possibly have for the super poly, right? My argument for this being a legend monster is because there's going to be a lot of other fusion monsters that come out that might be deck specific that will do some crazy things. However, that will make them targets for instant fusion, right? Like the potential of having other fusion decks that have deck specific fusions that are also level 5 or lower is a higher chance than having fusion decks that are going to be more generic targets or whatever, right? For Super Poly, right? Instant fusion has a wider variety of targets, in my opinion, that will be able, that's able to hit, right? We see Vic Viper, we see chemistry, we see the psychics, we see, this is really generic, we have the charmers, we have galaxy, we have worms, we have harpies, we have wind warriors, we have these guys. Like the variety of decks that this instant fusion can take from is a lot more than the variety of decks that the super poly takes from, right? Like all of these are like galaxies or like, very type specific type stuff, but like, these are all from all these other various types of decks that you can possibly make, right? It doesn't matter about the fusion materials. They don't care about the materials. It's just whether or not you can summon it onto the field, right? There's going to be a lot more chance. There's a higher chance of them making a lower level fusion monster with high utility than there is of them making generic high level fusion monsters that will, just destroy your opponent's board. And so that's why instant fusion deserves to be a legend spot or a legend spell, in my opinion, right? It's the only way to make sure that this doesn't get like, spammed in decks, because then you could be able to, play I'm a Bear Lilith 3 times, right? And then you can just remove all of their fusion monsters, leave them on an open board, hit them for 6,000 damage. That's almost game right there, right? And like even then you can then use them as tribute material, use them for generic ritual summonings and stuff like that. You can make other monsters. Like it's really gross. It is actually really gross of what you can do here, right? And so they don't want that to happen. I get that, and I think that's fine. Super Poly just basically tells Konami themselves that they cannot do what they do in the advanced format, right? We cannot have any more generic fusion monsters. I feel like that is a clear statement, and I don't think they're gonna break that rule. And if they do, we might have to revisit this. But even if that happens, I don't know if that's going to be like, if it's going to be like type specific and stuff like that, then it might be a while before they even have a generic fusion for every single type or whatever. So we'll have to see. We'll just have to see how that goes. Let's see. MZ, you said a lot. Let's see. Sure, you can argue that XYZ can go toe-to-toe with the zombie file for the best deck in the meta. I don't think XYZ is that good. I don't think XYZ beats out I don't think XYZ beats out zombies that easily, in my opinion. I think zombies still wins out. Zombies are still good. Spark Hearts is also really good. They also have protection against the destruction that the XYZ Dragon Cannon does. And while the zombies might not have that protection, they at least have the removal to just bounce them back. You wouldn't be able to revive them with YXZ. And like on paper, I think zombie just wins out more times than not. Like if you get lucky and you can set up your XYZs early, then that's fine, right? But like overall, I think zombies still win out. Super Poly kind of sucked in Rushel because there's no chains. Yeah, I mean, there's no chains. That's fine. I think that's also like it nerfs it a lot, right? Super Poly got nerfed quite a bit when it came to Rush or when it comes to Rush Duel, because you can't activate it on chain. It doesn't matter if it gets interrupted. It can't get interrupted, but it does give it trap protection, trap destruction protection, which is really good, right? You wouldn't want to Super Poly something and then have it immediately destroyed by some trap hole or something like that. So that's totally fine. Instant Fusion does, Instant Fusion does warrant being a legend spell. It's because Rush Duel is going to have an increased amount of low-level fusion in the near future, whether just in fact... Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I was saying, right? Like, there's a higher chance that Konami prints out lower-level, high-utility fusions more than they are going to be printing out generic fusions and stuff like that. I think Rush Duel isn't treading the same path as the advanced format, so much so that they're making more fusion with some generic materials. Exactly, right? Like, they've learned their lesson. It's too late for them to stop making generic fusions, right? They already just made or released a new one, right? That they have for like spellcaster decks and stuff like that. There's some like new generic fusion that they have for them that they use for their super poly targets and stuff like that. And so they have that as an option. But I don't think Rush Duels are going to do the same thing. We're not at a high enough power level to make that even worth it. And like if they do that, then that's just kind of breaking the game, in my opinion, right? Because now decks can kind of just run these, and like obviously a lot of decks have the space for it, right? Like if we look at what do we want to look at? If we look at Necro Skull Souls, we really have we have an option here, right? Like they really only run, they can run a full 15 if they want to run 3 copies of Sofaruda, but like at most you're running 2 copies of that, and then like, you could run a couple of copies of something else if you want to remove some of your other options, right? If you're not expecting to run 3 copies of Valstorm or stuff like that, then you can like have space for those kinds of things. But like that's like the big, or like a basic example, right? Like there is a lot of extra deck space for quite a few decks that they're willing to be running some of these options. And I don't think we should be at a point where a deck should care about super poly targets more than they should care about just having other extra deck like monsters or stuff like that, right? Like a lot of people's extra decks in the advanced formats are, obviously their engine, but a lot of it is also just generic stuff, right? Like link monsters like SP, IP, and stuff like that. We obviously don't have that here in Rush Duel. So a lot of extra decks can be just their monsters, but you should probably fill up your extra deck anyway, just so you can, psych out your opponent before you start the game. But yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing, right? Like there are some people who are like, oh, S Poly should be a legend spell, and I'm like, there is not enough options in the world to make this viable, right? Instant Fusion has a higher chance of being more of a threat than Super Poly does. And I think by doing this early, right? Because I wasn't expecting Super Poly to come out anytime soon. I didn't even think it was worth printing Super Poly anytime soon. Because like we already have Super Poly, the deck in Delirium, right? And like that deck doesn't really matter. It gets the ability to Super Poly, but like it's not the end of the world if it doesn't Super Poly. I think there's like they still have other ways to go about it and things like that. Like it's fine. But like now that they've given Delirium 6 ways to Super Poly, we could see the deck make a comeback if it becomes way too strong. That'll be interesting. Outerverse is also another interesting option because like that has a easier time of getting a lot of stuff out, especially because it takes out, especially for Endless Doom Oblivion, takes out 2 monsters. All the other fusions take out one monster and stuff like that. It's great if you're going up against non-light decks, which is fine if, if only the strongest deck in the meta right now is in a light deck. Oh, God forbid. God forbid we play something that doesn't know this. But yeah. So we have that going for us. We have all of that. being done. So yeah, that is my pseudo presentation on the reason why I believe these are correct for the correct printings for these cards in Rush Duel. Now, now about the power level, or like now about the potential of these breaking decks, I have no idea. Right? Like these aren't technically viable yet. All we can do right now is just kind of put them in the decks and kind of see where they go. And I do wanna try Delirium with the Super Poly. Let me go back to my Delirium deck right now. What would I remove? Or did I already add them? I think I did. Yeah, I already added 2 copies of Super Poly. Right? My idea was that we already have a lot of really good cards here. We could remove Marikita for another copy of Super Poly. We could remove Marikita and a Lamparus, but a Lamparus does allow you to take control of a monster, which is not bad. That's not bad either. So Marikita for a Super Poly is not a terrible idea, I think. So that is an option as well. What else would I care about? And like, as you can see, we have the space. We have the fusion space to be able to do that. Or the extra deck space to be able to do that. Right? But yeah. So this is like generally what I'm thinking of. I mean, nothing has really changed from what Delirium players play right now. Right? It's 3 copies of Sylvix, Rosalia, and Calabrone. You are running the Ageha because, oh my god, this actually... Ageha kind of goes dummy hard here now that you have Super Poly. Because now you don't have to worry about running... Or you don't have to worry too much about getting some of these effects off to turn their opponent's monsters. If you could just do that instantly, right? Getting Ageha on the field allows you to just Super Poly right away without having to jump through the extra hoops of like, you know, turning other stuff into insect monsters through through some of the lower levels. But yeah. So yeah, Pinch Hopper allows you to do that really well. I was thinking about running 3 Pinch Hopper, right? It's either 3 Pinch Hopper for a third Pinch Hopper for a Marikita, and then somewhere else I remove something for an extra Super Poly. I'm not entirely sure what I would remove yet. Because like Drone is fine. It might be a Shul, right? Change the battle position of a monster, and then you can make an like we could do Shul for Super Poly. Oh, we can do Shul for Super Poly. I can put Shul back down here. And then I can do Marikita for Pinch Hopper. Right? And then what would I remove? Nothing, really. I wouldn't really remove anything. But yeah, like we could do it this way as well, so then you could Pinch Hopper for any of your level 7s, especially because you have a high amount of them. It would be nice to be able to cheat them out faster if you're lucky with your pulls. Right? But like it's that you do have Chaotic Love just for the card draw. Delirium Brace is obviously really good. Super Poly, Pot of Greed, stuff like that. I think this is fine. I think this is fine for the deck. So yeah, like this is what I have for Delirium. I think this is as good as we're gonna get so far, unless we get some other Delirium cards, some other like insect stuff that can help facilitate this. I really don't know. But like this is probably what we're running here, and then the side deck option is just all removal and anything else that might be annoying if for whatever reason, you know, you're not able to do enough here, right? So yeah. Okay. That's basically all I wanted to talk about today. We managed to hit the almost 2-hour mark, which is basically where I wanted to be for these types of streams, especially because I'm not streaming too much, you know. So that'll be it for me today. I hope you all enjoyed this discussion. If you want to talk about it more, you know, in the comments of this video, of this VOD, I might cut this and make this its own video or something like that. I'm not entirely sure how we want to do this, but we could do it that way as well, and you know, kind of see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, that'll be it for me today. Next week, I'm not entirely sure what we're gonna do. I'll have to figure it out. But yeah, that'll be it for me today. Thank you so very much for watching, everyone. Next week we'll get some more news. We'll do some more Rush Duel stuff. But maybe we might do some. We might play some. I need to do some. We might just deck test the. No, I don't want to deck test Delirium. Not with Super Poly that technically doesn't exist yet. I don't want to use non-existing cards. If we don't have to. Yeah, we'll hold off on the Delirium testing. But yeah, we might look at some other decks. I might play some XYZ and see if that's something. But I will be excited to play a lot when the new sim comes out, especially if there are a few players that want to play on like Rush Duel and things like that. I'd love to see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, we'll just have to see what happens next week. So thank you so very much for watching once again. This has been Protagonist signing out for today, and I will see you all next time. Alrighty. Peace out. I am not on the right screen. There we go.